Is Gwyneth Paltrow shading Meghan Markle on Instagram, doing her, you could say, makeup-free breakfast with jam, apparently, bacon, eggs? Oh, is she trying to get one over on Meghan, showing her how it's really done? Simple answer is I don't really think so. Guys, sometimes not everything is about Meghan Markle. However, Gwyneth Paltrow did have some interesting comments about Meghan in a recent interview. And I thought this would be a good time to sort of like look at things again from a business perspective. Because really think about it. Why does Gwyneth Paltrow have any need to be nervous about Meghan Markle and her business? She doesn't. And I don't think she cares because Gwyneth is sitting on the lifestyle throne. And I'm sure she's looking at the offerings of Meghan Markle going, yeah, no, that's not even competition worthy of my time. So I thought we'd get into this today because sometimes there's so much focus on Meghan. I think sometimes people forget that other people do not think about Meghan Markle. And, I think that's sort of okay. So we shall get into this. But if you guys haven't been here before, hello, my name is Brittany, and this is Royal News Network, and I offer compelling royal commentary and news. So if you guys want to hit that subscribe button, I would love to have you back. And if you love my jewelry, we do have Ana Lucia today. I've got my ring here, my 7-stone eternity band, the tennis bracelet, which I absolutely love and adore. We also have my earrings looking very sharp here in the very, very classic studs. So if you guys want to check out anything, oh, my necklace. I forgot about my necklace. The cross necklace for upcoming because it is Lent right now, leading up to Easter. So if you guys are interested in any of this, I will put a link up above because we all deserve to be sparkling and beautiful. And Ana Lucia does lab created diamonds. So you get a diamond that looks fantastic and you don't have to pay some of those exorbitant prices like those that are offered by Goop. Goop is pricey in what it offers, but Goop is interesting because it has a very unique vision, which is sort of health and wellness, a little bit of access, but it all works together. Because here's the thing, when you're coming up with a lifestyle brand, you want to have either a lifestyle people want to emulate, or you have such a vision for yourself and what you want that you're able to communicate it well to the general public. And I think that's exactly what Gwyneth Paltrow has done. Goop is ridiculous. But the thing that's brilliant about Gwyneth Paltrow is I think she owns the ridiculous nature of it. She don't care how ridiculous and insane she looks because she's making the money and her vision for her brand is not dictated by the naysayers. She will come out with a candle that says this smells like my vagina because she don't care. People are going to buy it. You can't even buy it anymore. I don't know if it's sold out. I don't know if they can sell it. I don't know what the deal is. But she created a stir by saying this is the most ridiculous product I've ever seen. So it just sort of works. And Meghan Markle is no competition for her, none at all. And I think sometimes for those of us who watch royals very closely, like we think about them a lot. I will say, partly because it's my job, I think about royals too much. I think, oh, this is a great example of this. It's like a totally different situation, but oh, somebody's like this, somebody's like that, royal wise. It's like I see all these connections, but that's sometimes partly because I'm so in the space that I constantly see them there. I think the reality is for most people, they don't see the connections because they don't care. And it's not something that they're super into. And the same thing goes for any hobby somebody has or any interest somebody has. This is not just regulated to royal watching, but so many different things. And I think that's the case for Gwyneth in this instance. Yes. Is she aware Meghan Markle exists? Yeah. Apparently they've met at some point. Is she aware Meghan's trying to enter into the lifestyle space? Yeah. But does she care? That I think is a big old no. So let's go ahead and look at the comments Gwyneth made recently to Vanity Fair. We're looking at actually a Harper's Bazaar piece, but it has all her comments sort of wrapped up together so it makes more sense. And I couldn't get access to the Vanity Fair piece. It's behind a paywall, I believe. So we are not paying for that, but let's look at this. And she's talking about them having moved into the Montecito neighborhood back in, I believe, 2020, if not 2021. And so she says, I don't know Meghan and Harry. She told the magazine, I mean, I've met Meghan, who does seem really lovely, but I don't know her at all. The possibility of developing a friendship with the Sussexes isn't off the table. She added, maybe I'll try to get through their security detail and bring them a pie. So I feel like that is a little bit of shade. Going, they're so ridiculous. Gwyneth Paltrow is worth more money. Gwyneth Paltrow has a bigger company. Like Gwyneth Paltrow has so many things, and she doesn't need a massive security detail. And Harry and Meghan don't really either, to be quite honest. Again, they're inconsequential to the monarchy for the most part. It's their actions that sort of pull it down, and how that the monarchy, I don't feel like, is as severe as they should be in the separating the two factions, just saying, we are the big royals over here, like the real royals. These are the cosplay royals over here. Like that, let's make that clear. They're kind of clear and unclear at the same time. I wish Charles would be a little bit more direct about that. But what she's saying here is, I've met them. She seems lovely, but again, she doesn't seem like she cares enough to really get to know them. And I could be totally wrong in reading that, but I just don't feel like she has a big connection, and nor does she need it. She's successful on her own. She doesn't need Meghan Markle. And I think Hollywood types are very aware of, they want to keep sort of the line of communication open. But I think she also knows a bit of the troubles going on behind the scenes. And she's not someone, I don't think, who will be what Meghan needs people to be with her. Because you'll notice most of her friends are sort of just like her. They're sort of, they're all narcissists. They all sort of prop each other up. They all use each other to get attention. Gwyneth doesn't need that. She gets plenty of attention on her own. She's an Oscar-winning actress. Her father was a director. Her mother is also an actress. She doesn't need the attention. She doesn't need the attention in the same way other friends of Meghan's do. She's perfectly, I think, content on her own. And that's the thing I sort of maybe overall we'll get back to, is the idea that, you know what? I'm not insecure enough to need to steal attention from somebody else. And Meghan Markle's a lot like that, don't you think? So let's move on. And so she says, while Paltrow has yet to see the trailer for Meghan's new Netflix show, With Love, Meghan, she doesn't care. She brushes off any comparisons between the Duchess's new business ventures and her own Goop brand. I was raised to see other women as friends, not foes, Gwyneth Paltrow said. I think there's always more than enough to go around. Everybody deserves an attempt at everything they want to try. Number one, this is a very, very healthy approach, because if you look at everybody as competition, you will drive yourself insane. Guys, there's sort of a reason why I don't really watch or follow other royal commentators too much on YouTube. And it's because I would naturally start to compare myself, and that's just not healthy. At some point, you have to be able to stand on your own, and you can't let somebody else's either success or views or something like that start to negatively impact your own. You just got to stand by yourself. You will be stronger for it. It's sort of complicated, but I think there's something here that Gwyneth Paltrow is so smart in, is that she sees that there are other opportunities. Because here's the thing, when it comes to YouTube, there are new royal commentators who pop up. Some of them get more attention than others, but really there is enough to go around. And yes, some people will follow people than other unfollow people. They'll decide, I'm really more with these people and their views than these people over here. And that's totally fine, because what's interesting about what's happening right now in the news space or in the lifestyle space and stuff like that is that people are glomming on more to personalities rather than just the straight news segment. Now, that could be seen definitely as a bad thing. That's 100% correct. But I feel like I offer a different view than other people like Taz or the Sidley twins or Paula M or something like that we all offer a different perspective. So if you watch every individual channel, you'll gain maybe a little bit of nuggets, something you hadn't seen before, some new ideas, something to that effect. So she's totally right here, is that there's more than enough to go around. And yes, while she is leading in the lifestyle space in many ways, I mean, they have had a bit of trouble. I think they did have to lay some people off. That's part of running a business. And I will show you a picture here. Those are Meghan Markle's products. Why in the world should Gwyneth Paltrow be nervous in the slightest about the competition Meghan Markle's offers? Because there is no competition. There really isn't a competition. They're not selling the same things. Gwyneth has a very, very dedicated audience. She has a very clear vision, whereas Meghan is all over the place. And she doesn't offer a clear vision. It's just general, like, banalities. It's springtime. berry something, bite-sized bliss or something stupid like that. Simple daily pleasures, daily rituals, something like that. And that's what she's sort of focusing on. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but there's no greater depth to Meghan Markle's brand so far. And what she's doing is not the Gwyneth Paltrow approach. Gwyneth Paltrow sort of started off with a newsletter and let her brand grow organically. Meghan Markle is doing the exact opposite, which is why Meghan's is potentially more likely to fail. Because you really do want to have the slow approach because you want to test the audience, test the interest. And as you grow and as you develop and as you curate and as you manage, you're able to better capitalize on your markets and your interest in everything because you've seen this thing and you've tinkered with it a little bit to get it to a better spot rather than just dumping it all out there at once. This is something that, like, I really wish in some ways that well, not really. My channel was slow growing but it was growing really well. Like compared to most other channels, it was growing exceedingly well. Like that first started out. And then it exploded. And then it's almost like you're constantly playing catch up. But Meghan, I think, is overdoing it to such an extent is that she's starting off with everything. Well, what if people don't like the crepe mix? What if they don't like the raspberry spread that she works so hard for? What if most people are like, this is not very good? What if the teas are like, well, I can get the same thing at the store for half the price. And so I tried your tea once, it was okay, but now I'm going to go back and get something else. Meghan hasn't tested the market. She has no idea how her products will sell. She's basically banking on the name Meghan Markle to sell them. Whereas Gwyneth Paltrow started off with a newsletter, slowly started to get secondary products, so products made by another company to sell before starting to create her own. That's how you do it. Because even though Gwyneth Paltrow is wealthy, is rich, has this huge presence, you could say, in many ways, she's not resting on her name to sell things. She wants to cultivate an audience, generate interest, and slowly and slowly and slowly she grows something. Whereas that Meghan's trying to do everything at once, and that's why I think she's more likely to fail. And the thing is, guys, having grown a business herself, Gwyneth is very well aware of that as well. So she's watching all this going, ooh, that's not what I would do. I'm not going to say anything because it doesn't benefit me at all to criticize Meghan. It doesn't benefit me to call her out. It's like, so I'm just going to stay here and let things happen. So she says ultimately she's uninterested in hopping on a hateful bandwagon that pits women against each other. When there's noise about certain women in culture, I do have always a strong instinct to stand up for them. But what's sort of interesting is that she doesn't really. She's not saying anything necessarily good, but she's also not saying anything necessarily bad. She's staying very neutral, very smart. It's very smart here to just stay neutral. And I think like she is sort of aware that the criticism I think is based in some realm of truth. So she's not going so hard and saying the criticism thing that's said about Meghan is wrong. She says, I met her once. She seemed lovely, but I don't really know more than that. So I'm not going to say anything. Again, very smart. You got to give it to her here. Very, very smart. It's good for her not to go too far into this because she doesn't know if she'll get hit on the other end. That's why I think most of Hollywood is taking sort of a wait and see approach because what we've seen is sort of blow up after blow up when it comes to Harry and Meghan. And so if you are somebody who's building a business or has a business, it doesn't benefit you at this point to go hardcore Meghan is the best thing in the world because you have enough indications over here that there's something not quite right at the same time. So she's not going over and giving her a pie right now. Maybe at some point she will, but at this point, she's not interested. And she doesn't have to be because Meghan is not competition to her. She's not competition to her. So let's get to all the alleged social media shading that's going on. So we're at Gwyneth Paltrow's Instagram. Now, number one, guys, she does a decent amount of reels. And a lot of them are related to cooking. So she cooks. But this is the one that everybody's like, oh, shade to Meghan. Now, 100% it is the same song that Meghan used. But guys, when it comes to everyone, not everyone is watching Meghan as closely as everybody else. She could have just picked the song because she wanted to pick the song. Or it could be that maybe she's heard all the comments and just wants to do a subtle little kickback to Meghan. But This is not something she hasn't done before. So let's watch a little bit of this. I might have to mute this just because of copyright reasons with the song, but let's watch. So she's in her kitchen, monogrammed cup. A lot of people have monogrammed cups. So not, she has eggs. She does have marmalade, but this is like biscuits and she's making breakfast. So none of this, guys. And she has her oven and she preheated. I think somebody said, oh, she preheated the oven. It's like, well, she like, that's what you do when you're cooking and stuff. So she hangs out with her dog, gives her dog a little pet, gets the biscuits out, and no issues at all. Making the eggs. This again is breakfast. So she's made breakfast. Looks good. And that is a normal breakfast. So my cleaner take on a classic breakfast, gluten-free milk, buttermilk biscuits, not so perfectly cooked over easy eggs, and crispy bacon. Hashtag boyfriend breakfast. She's been doing this for a long time. So let's see another one. Is this another hashtag boyfriend breakfast? Yep.
Real toad in the foot while my oven's heating up and the walk swinging there.
So she commentaries a bit about this and she does play music for most of them. So again, none of this is a particular surprise. This shouldn't be super like controversial shade spinning or anything like that. This is sort of what she does, a very clean breakfast. She goes out to her garden and gets stuff. I just don't think it's really shade. So she's doing hashtag boyfriend breakfast.
Boyfriend breakfast. I'm doing a recipe from Goop Kitchen.
So she's doing a recipe from Goop Kitchen. She has a necklace with B on. Her husband's name is Brad. So this is very normal. And she does great things like tours of her closet and stuff, which I enjoy.
The people want another closet tour.
Let's go. So Chase, what would you like to see?
So she's showing off her Goop products in addition to some things from her like archives and stuff. I think this is kind of sort of awesome. And she is somebody who's very comfortable at this point. She's made this crazy thing work. So 3.6 million here. Rainy morning on Long Island calls for lobster omelet. So again, she does music. So none of it is different than what she has done before, to be quite honest. So I think that there's some big conspiracy in that she's trying to throw shade at Meghan. I just don't really think is true. And let's look at Meghan. Let's look at Meghan's level of competition here, because that's interesting. So Meghan did a story today, and I'm like, what the heck? Number one, it's weird that Harry doesn't seem to be in anything, which I find odd. But so she is. Don't think. Can I get volume on this? So her friend is over making a banana split, I guess, and her finger is there. I mean, seriously, guys, look, her fingers are right there. Like, oh, this is so weird. And where's her husband, by the way? This looks like a very homey, kind of very dated kitchen. And so they're eating this. Meghan looks sort of braless on a Sunday, a little weird. And as ever official. But she's not putting it on as ever. Like, if you're Gwyneth Paltrow, you're looking at this hot mess going, oh, I have nothing to worry about. I have nothing at all to worry about. She has nothing to worry about, guys. She's not worried. She's not concerned. And she doesn't need to throw shade because she is right in some ways. Like, there's no reason to throw another woman under the bus if you don't have to. She is like, well, there is enough space to go around. And Meghan seems to be cultivating. And I still don't even know what audience Meghan's trying to cultivate, to be quite honest. We don't know the pricing yet. Let's look at real quick and see. Do we have the pricing for as ever? That's been one of the weird things is like, I have no clue what the pricing of any of her products are. And so it's like, Gwyneth's probably sitting there going, like, I'm supposed to see this woman as competition. I don't even know what audience she's looking at. And audience is huge. Like, what is your audience? Who is going to buy your products? So when it comes to me and this channel, it's like people who like royals, people who want to know more about the other European royals, people who want to know more about tiaras and stuff, they can go to Royal Fashion News. So I have a great tag though, also as well for Royal Fashion News is for all those who have a passion for royal fashion. I literally came up with that, like talking in a video. I was so proud of it. But that's like a simple tag for this one. This channel offers news and commentary about royal stories. And so if you want to follow that, we do the Crown Report, different things to sort of capitalize on that. Gwyneth's thing is she likes health and wellness, and she is trying to attract a sort of elite crowd. So her stuff is sort of expensive. Let's take a look at it real quick. So here is Goop. Oh, you can get 10% off, guys. And so made by Goop. So these are all the Goop products. So beauty bestsellers. So this is $150. You can get a subscription. So these are all kind of expensive. And then we also have made by Goop. We have Shop All G labels. So these are all products that have been made by Gwyneth and the team, and they are pretty pricey. So if you want any of this, you are welcome to it. I probably won't get it. I saw Gwyneth showing off this. Honestly, guys, I wasn't that impressed with that dress, to be quite honest. But if you love Goop, if you are a Goop aficionado, you will love this. And she slowly got into this. Let's see. There was something that I think was, Gwyneth's picks. So these are what Gwyneth's picks are right now. So you can kind of go and see, what is she using? And so if you like Gwyneth, if you want to emulate her style, it's all right here. And some of this, a lot of it is Goop. This is actually not bad, that dress right there. I like those type of dresses. So she has a bunch of different things that she is interested in. And so you can, emulate her style. It's great. I should try it one time just to see what all the fuss is about. Oh, that looks kind of interesting, to be quite honest. Anyways, so I'm just sort of glowing. I'm sort of enjoying this. Just like I'm very, very curious. I would be interested in learning more about it because she has such a vision for this. I don't know what Meghan's vision is. And Gwyneth doesn't know either. I'm sure as somebody who's been in the business now for well over 10 years in this lifestyle, wellness space, she's looking at Meghan's stuff going, what is she trying to do? I'm just a little confused. And I don't blame her. I don't get it either. And that's again why, guys, I don't think Gwyneth is throwing any shade to Meghan. Maybe she's slightly having a little bit of fun with the attention. Maybe, sure, but it's not shade. She doesn't need to shade Meghan. She's successful. Meghan has yet to prove that her brand, her ideas, her products are successful yet. Yes, she has a social media following. That's great, but it's not like super exciting. Her content itself on Instagram is nothing to write home about. It's nothing to get super excited and engaged in. Pretty banal. I would argue it's lazy. It's 10 years behind the time. There's so many other people doing it better and been doing it longer. Meghan has yet really to test the market in any sort of way. Even her show only got 2.6 million viewers. So you could say, granted, I actually think it's more based on how Netflix calculates it publicly. They know exactly how many people watched it behind the scenes. I think actually more people watched it, but by dividing the show by the watch time, they can say 2.6 million people watched it rather than saying, 4.6 million people only watched a small portion of the series. Because that's worse. You'd rather have 2.6 million people finish the series rather than 4.6 million people only watched an episode and a half or two before turning it off because they thought it was so terrible. So that is something to consider as well. And she only has 2.6 million followers on Instagram. Given her huge platform, her huge profile, why isn't it bigger? Why is she so slow to grow? It's not just because people don't like her. I think it's just because her content is bad. It's behind the times. You look at Gwyneth's Instagram, that is where things are currently heading. She's exactly on the right track. Meghan is a decade behind the times now. She really needs to step up her game. And when you are confident in your ideas, when you are confident in your brand and your marketing strategy and what you are offering, you don't need to compete with somebody. And you don't need to compare yourself to them. Because I think at this point, Meghan is the one who is wildly insecure. She's the one who has to try to compete with Catherine and the royals constantly by throwing things out there the day somebody comes out with a big story. Today it was Princess Beatrice was in Vogue talking about how she gave birth early. There was some issues with Athena. And so they told her, hey, you will probably give birth early. And that's exactly what happened. Thankfully, she was healthy. There were a little bit of scares, I think, those first couple of weeks, but she's healthy, doing well. And so is Beatrice. I think that's something that people, of course, understand. And then Meghan goes out there, shows herself in her pajamas, eating a banana, I think, with granola and fruit on top, with her raspberry spread. I mean, she doesn't even tell us that's raspberry spread. That's her thing she's worked so hard on. It's so bad, but obviously so attention seeking. This is why she had to drop with her friend Nacho a picture of his dog and her biscuits that she made him and a new jam as well, because Meghan is wildly insecure. She is so incredibly insecure that she constantly has to compete with people who don't really care, who aren't thinking about her. You could even say that Meghan Markle is trying to shade Gwyneth Paltrow by coming out with her own weird Sunday morning story where her friend looks made up. Meghan's in her pajamas. It's like very strange, to be quite honest. And it's like she's just desperate to find something to do to show people, oh, look at me. I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Gwyneth, I think, is perfectly content. She's knows Meghan's there, but she's secure. She doesn't need to compete. She's not insecure. She's secure in her brand. She's secure in her ideas because she has tried them and they have worked. She doesn't need to be shading Meghan Markle, even if it's just a little bit for fun. She doesn't really need to do it. She's proved herself. Meghan's the one who's, I think, insecure. Meghan's the one who feels the need to compete. And I think sometimes insecure people are the ones who do. Not all the time. I think there's a good thing of healthy competition in business. I think that is a good thing. How do you make your product better and better so that you are better than your competitors? Obviously, without being rude or arrogant or pushy or trying to steal ideas or something like that. But how do you refine yourself to make your brand better and better? I think that's what Gwyneth is probably doing, is just sort of refining it. But Meghan, she has no idea what anything is going to do. She's going to launch this brand with, I think, minimal ideas, minimal view. And Gwyneth is like, well, good luck to you. I'm perfectly fine over here. Not only am I not worried about the competition, I think at the end of the day, Goop is going to come out on top. So guys, let me know what you think. Do you think Gwyneth is really trying to shade Meghan, or is Meghan pathetically trying to compete in the shade game and failing miserably? I'd love to get your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you soon. Bye.